Hey, Michael. Come to me.
I can honestly say that vampire movies have been done to death. Pun very much intended. Ever since Bram Stoker unleashed Dracula on the world way back in 1897, we've gotten a whole slew of copycats, but also a lot of films, books, shows, and other media based on the story that have expanded upon the lore and mythology behind Dracula and vampires as a whole. Hell, one of the greatest video games of all time has been the Castlevania franchise. The very first film depiction of the undead nightmare was released way back in 1922's Nosferatu. That's just gotten a remake 102 years later. But is Robert Eggers' version any good? Does it stand up to the original? And how is it any different? Join me, dear viewer, as I dive into the world of the undead. Before we dive in, take a quick second to hit that subscribe button. And if you really want to make sure you never miss out, ring that notification bell too. It'll help us break through the YouTube algorithm and keep this channel growing strong. Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, originally released in 1922, is a German silent horror film directed by F.W. Murnau. I know, how could anyone watch a silent film in 2025? But hear me out. The film is an unauthorized adaptation of the novel Dracula, written by Bram Stoker, and one of the earliest examples of vampire cinema. Back then, and even now, films couldn't adapt a book that was copyrighted, even though now Dracula is pretty much in the public domain at this point. The film follows Thomas Hutter, a young real estate agent who travels to the eerie castle of Count Orlok to finalize a property sale. Hutter soon discovers Orlok's vampiric nature and his sinister plans to spread a plague in Hutter's hometown. Renowned for its eerie atmosphere, innovative use of shadows, and Max Schreck's unsettling portrayal of Count Orlok, Nosferatu is a cornerstone of German expressionist cinema which emerged in the 1910s and 1920s and was characterized by its stark visual style, exaggerated sets, and distorted perspectives, which reflected themes of alienation, madness, and emotional turmoil. You could even make the connection to Alien in 1979, which was inspired by the works of H.P. Lovecraft, who himself was inspired by these early silent films. Back then, movies often used dramatic lighting, deep shadows, and surreal imagery to create a dreamlike or nightmarish atmosphere. Iconic works like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, released in 1920, and the original Nosferatu are hallmarks of the movement, influencing global cinema, particularly the horror and film noir genres that would later arise in the 1940s and 1950s. In 2024, the film received a remake courtesy of Robert Eggers. Eggers is an acclaimed American filmmaker known for his meticulous attention to historical detail and atmospheric storytelling. He gained recognition with his 2015 debut The Witch, a chilling period horror set in 1630s New England. Eggers followed this with The Lighthouse in 2019, a psychological thriller about two lighthouse keepers spiraling into madness, and The Northman in 2022, a Viking revenge epic, which was one of the very first reviews here on this channel. Eggers is celebrated for his commitment to authenticity, often using era-appropriate language, costumes, and settings to immerse audiences. His work blends folklore, myth, and psychological horror, earning him a reputation as one of modern cinema's most innovative and visionary directors, and he brings all of that to bear in 2024's Nosferatu remake. Eggers' Nosferatu is an American Gothic horror film that reimagines F.W. Murnau's original 1922 silent classic. The film stars Bill Skarsgård as the enigmatic vampire Count Orlok, with Lily Rose Depp portraying Ellen Hutter, a young woman who becomes the object of Orlok's dark obsession. Nicholas Hoult plays Thomas Hutter, Ellen's husband, who unwittingly facilitates Orlok's move to their hometown, unleashing a series of horrifying events. The film delves into themes of obsession and the supernatural, with Edgars' signature attention to historical detail and atmospheric storytelling. The production features meticulously crafted sets inspired by real locations in Germany and the real-life Transylvania, enhancing its haunting aesthetic. We all know the story remains faithful to the original depiction for the most part, but it's the cinematography that also evolves Murnau's original vision from 1922. The cinematography of 2024's Nosferatu was handled by Jaron Blaschke and is a standout feature, blending gothic horror aesthetics with a modern cinematic touch. Known for his work on Edgars' previous films like The Witch and The Lighthouse, Blaschke employs stark contrasts of light and shadow to evoke the eerie, haunting atmosphere of the original 1922 film, while also updating it for contemporary audiences. There are some beautifully arranged shots here, and I've gotta say that this film has some of the best lighting and lighting effects in cinematic history. I mean, look at some of these shots from the trailer. The film uses muted, desaturated tones and naturalistic lighting to create a foreboding sense of dread, emphasizing the oppressive and otherworldly presence of Count Orlok. Its visual storytelling includes intricate camera movements, tight framing, and lingering shots that heighten the tension and immerse the audience in the unsettling, historical world of the story. The production design and cinematography work hand in hand to pay homage to the German Expressionism while also maintaining a unique, immersive style true to Edgars' vision. It's for this reason that I am a huge Robert Edgars fan. His respect of the medium of film is truly rare in today's modern Hollywood hellscape. The 1922 and 2024 versions of Nosferatu share some core elements of the story, but differ significantly in style, execution, and cultural context. As a silent film, the original relies heavily on exaggerated gestures, intertitles, and dramatic shadow play characteristic of German Expressionism. The visual effects were innovative for their time, with techniques like negative film stock and stop motion to create surreal, haunting imagery. The new version uses modern cinematography, including dynamic camera movements, high-resolution visuals, and advanced lighting techniques. While it pays homage to the original's chiaroscuro aesthetic, it incorporates color palettes and CGI to enhance the gothic horror atmosphere. Chiaroscuro is a term derived from the Italian words chiaro and scuro, meaning light and dark, referring to the artistic technique of using strong contrast between light and dark to create a sense of volume, depth, and drama in an image. Edgars uses this to great effect with modern equipment and lighting that the original didn't have. The 1922 silent film's pacing is deliberate, with a focus on atmosphere and visual storytelling. As an unauthorized adaptation of Dracula, character names and settings were changed, such as Count Dracula becoming Count Orlok, in order to avoid copyright infringement. The updated version provides deeper character development and dialogue, integrating modern cinematic techniques to add emotional weight and psychological complexity to the story. Edgars' focus on historical accuracy also adds authenticity to the setting, as I stated previously. Max Schreck's performance as Count Orlok is iconic for its grotesque physicality and minimal reliance on makeup or effects. In 2024's Nosferatu, Bill Skarsgård brings a more nuanced, layered approach to the role, using modern acting techniques to explore the vampire's emotional depth while also retaining the character's menacing aura. Made for an early 20th century audience, the 1922 film was a pioneering work in horror cinema, relying on novel storytelling methods and technology available at the time. Created for modern audiences familiar with over a century of vampire lore, the new Nosferatu blends homage with innovation, addressing contemporary themes such as obsession, isolation, and human frailty in a way the original could never bring given the technology and expertise at the time, so a comparison isn't exactly fair game. While I wasn't very familiar with the 1922 version until I sat down to watch it for this video, I did appreciate the visual style of the film. In my research for this video, I did find that the acting in the 1922 version did have over-exaggerated gestures and acting, but that was largely due to the medium of film at the time lacking sound and sound design, besides pre-recorded musical scores. Having the benefit of hindsight and a century of vampire lore to work off of didn't take anything away from Robert Eggers' version of Nosferatu. Quite on the contrary, in my opinion. It's the definitive version of the story in its plot, character development, cinematography, lighting, and expert photography. There's countless versions of this story in film, books, TV shows, video games, and even music. 2024's Nosferatu stands out because of the careful exposition and production that Robert Eggers poured into this project. I highly recommend watching both of these movies to see what a century of evolution has done to the storytelling medium of film and cinema. But what do you guys think about Nosferatu? Was it genre defining for you, or was it just another generic copycat? Please do let me know down below in the comments, and as always, hit that like button, ring that notification bell, and smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.
Okie dokie.